Welcome to Pet Pals. I'm Bethany Davidson, the Humane Educator here at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. And we hope that you're ready to be introduced to some of the cutest animals that we have available for adoption at the moment. And our first guest here with Tammy is Benny. And he is definitely one of those cute dogs that's going to jump right out at you on the adoption floor. He is one of our seniors. He's 11 years old, and he is a Bichon. So because he's a senior, he does have some health things that people will have to take into consideration. You know, checking his eyes, we think that he does have some arthritis. So when you're looking at Benny, everybody's attracted to this type of breed. We adopt them out very quickly on a regular basis, but you do want to make sure you're prepared for his medical needs as he is a senior. So it's really important to read through the medicals that we have and we provide. So you know, some people just want to hurry and rush through to meet the dog, but it's really important to read this to make sure that you can handle all of the stuff. Like he's going to probably need a dental at some point. He's going to need to have his eyes checked to make sure he's not developing glaucoma. So there's a lot of important information in here. Other than that, Benny is a relatively sweet, playful dog, even as a senior. He does have a little bit of arthritis, but that can be managed with a supplement. He was brought into the shelter because he wasn't really getting along with the new baby in his household. We have him listed as an older children or adult home only, so over the age of 10. The primary reason that we've done that is because he has an intense dislike for having his feet touched. And so we want to send him to a home where the children are old enough to understand, hey, Benny doesn't like that, let me not do that. He is playful and energetic, friendly. He walks well on a leash. They say that he does pull a little bit, but because he's a small dog, it's relatively manageable. His reaction to other dogs really just depends on the dog. Sometimes he reacts favorably and wants to play. Sometimes he has no reaction. Sometimes he's nervous. No issues with food aggression. He willingly lets go of objects. He likes to be petted, but he just does not like to have his feet handled. But for a senior dog, he's still relatively spry. He has a youthful personality, and we're hoping that we can find him a great home to spend his golden years in. If you're interested in Benny, please stop in and visit with him here at the shelter. We are located at 1832 Rosemont Avenue here in Frederick. Our next guest is Missy, and she has been with us for a little while now, since May, and she's had lots of interest, but for different reasons, all of those applications have fallen off. So she's still looking for a forever home. Missy is a Shepherd mix. She's about 2 years old. She was very shy when she first came in, but she's gradually opening up and just becoming a wonderful dog. One of the things that we have noticed about her is that she is afraid of the floor. So when you're walking by her kennel, you'll probably notice that she does have a rug in there. Sometimes she has bigger beds and blankets just to cover that space. Sometimes when dogs aren't used to that kind of linoleum and a slippery floor, it's disconcerting because they can't grip on it very well. So she does have some issues with that. We've had other dogs that have felt like the floor is lava, if you will, before, and their owner came back in and said it took about 2 weeks for their dog to really adjust in their new home with that type of situation. And you can always put down a couple of rugs just to give her a little pathway until she gets more comfortable with it. But the main thing that's really important about Missy is that she did test positive for heartworm, Lyme disease, and ehrlichiosis. So it's really going to be important to make sure that you can keep up with her medical care. According to our vet, she needs to be on monthly heartworm preventative for her entire life. And there are some other things that you need to take into consideration. Making sure you're getting her tested, and if she needs to have more treatment for that, then that's something that you're going to have to do to make sure that she's staying healthy and happy. So, if you are interested in Missy, you might want to talk to your vet about it to make sure that you can handle the treatments and the financial commitment that's involved there. That's going to be the biggest thing. In her packet, we've also, in addition to our typical vet notes and the information that we have from previous owner, previous vets, we've also included information on just a handout on heartworms so that you can read through that and get a little bit of an education to see if that might want to increase your interest or dissuade you and think that maybe Missy isn't the right dog for you. That's vitally important, which is why we make everybody read this before they visit with the dog. We want to make sure that you don't fall in love with a dog that you can't manage, because then you're going to be disappointed once you've read this, which is why we make you read it first. She likes to be petted, as you can see right now. She's got a smile on her face. She's just loving all the attention that she's getting. No reaction when handling her feet or her mouth, although she was a bit nervous. She's got a long life ahead of her. We want to make sure that we set her up with the right family. Our next guest is Honey, and she is a great kind of honey color. She is a fawn, brindle, and white pit bull mix. She's about 2 years old. She definitely has that kind of big pit bully American Staffordshire Terrier bulldoggy face, and it definitely draws you in. She is quite the cute little girl, and she's got you know, all the snorting that goes along with it. She came to us because she was no longer allowed to be at her residence, and she just needed more time. According to her previous owner, she loves children and grew up in a house with looks like 4 kids, ages 4, 5, 6, and 10. She's lived with another cat as well, and she gets along with a dog. So, you know, hopefully she'll be able to fit right in with any type of family. Her previous owner says that she's playful, energetic, friendly. She walks on a leash sometimes, so maybe a little bit of work with that. It says that she can be a barker and chewer, but those are, you know, dogs chew. So it's important that we provide them with the appropriate things to chew on, and that we show them what they aren't allowed to do. It's not just important to say, no, you can't do this. It's vitally important to say, this is what you should do instead. You always want to make sure you're setting them up so that they know what you want them to do and not just what you don't want them to do. That can be very confusing otherwise. It does say that she's a bit of a barker, and we have seen that a little bit in the shelter. When you're kind of approaching her kennel, she can be maybe a little nervous. So we always want to encourage everybody who's looking for a dog. If you see a dog that maybe has caught your eye and catches your interest, read about them, obviously, but then meet with them outside of the kennel. Don't judge them 100% on their kennel behavior, because as we talk about frequently on the show, it is a stressful environment, and a lot of the times they're just excited to see you. They jump and bark because they're excited to see a person. They think they're going to go out on a walk, so they're you know, trying to grab your attention. They don't know that maybe it's you know, causing a not a great first impression. So, you know, you just want to make sure you're taking that into consideration. You can visit with her here at the shelter on Monday, Tuesdays, and Fridays from 10 to 5, on Wednesdays and Thursdays from 12 to 8, and Saturdays from 10 to 4. The last pair of dogs that we have for you on the show today are some Chihuahua mixes. They are a bonded pair. They are Benny, the big guy there kind of in the front, and Bullet is the little guy there in the back, and they're relatively shy. They are quite outgoing in their kennel right now. They love to play and roll around, but in new surroundings they can be a little bit nervous. So Bullet is again the smaller dog, and he's about 3 years old, and then Benny, the big guy, is about 5. Benny could use a little bit of a diet plan in his new home, so that's something that you want to take into consideration. And they both also tested positive for Lyme, so it's going to be important to make sure you can keep up with their treatments on that front. Here in the shelter, we do not treat Lyme positive dogs with the antibiotics, typically doxycycline, unless they are showing symptoms, so lameness, things like that, stiffness. These guys are not showing any of those symptoms, so they're not currently receiving any treatments. In their kennels, When we behavior assessed them, we noticed that they did not necessarily keep their kennels clean. So that's going to be something that you're going to have to work with them. It could be just an issue of a new situation, a new place. They haven't really been here that long, but keeping that in mind, that you will have to probably work with them a little bit on house training. They can be, depending on the person, they can be very friendly and they run right up when you're greeting them at their kennel, or they can be cautious. Their reactions to dogs as well vary just depending on the dog. They're easy to walk, they're easy to obtain, with the exception of, again, if you're a new person to them, they can take a little coaxing until they get used to you. Food can always be a good motivator to get them to trust you a little bit. You know, giving a treat is always a good thing. Because Benny is also a senior at 5 years old, you'll also get another $20 off for adopting a senior. We hope that you've enjoyed meeting some of the adoptable dogs on the floor here, but if you come back after the break, we're going to introduce you to 5 of the cats that are also available for adoption here at Frederick County Animal Control. Welcome back. The first cat that we have for you is definitely one of our cats with a big personality. This is Alfalfa, and his name kind of suits him because he's kind of a bit of a mischievous guy, just like those little rascals that's where he and several of the other cats got their names from. He's about a year to a year and a half old, but he definitely has a lot of kittens still left in him. When you're looking through his paperwork, you will notice that he does have 2 bite cases on him. They were actually the same day, and he got a little overstimulated when he was being petted, and then when they went to put him away, he did kind of scratch up someone. But it's not a big deal, and now that he's been neutered, he is much calmer, and he just is, you know, one of those cats that will definitely ask for attention. He's a bit of a talker. When you walk by him, he lets you know that he's not exactly happy that you've just continued to walk past him and didn't give him a little bit of love and attention. And he loves to be picked up. He will, you know, staff walk by his cage throughout the day, and he's always, you know, sitting on the shoulder of some volunteer. That's just kind of what he's into. So if you want a cat that's going to be very social with you and definitely make his presence known and want to hang out with you and play with you, then Alfalfa is going to be a good match. He is color-coded green because he does have that high energy level, which a lot of people are really into. They really enjoy that. So he, in addition to having kind of a big and playful, kind of goofy personality, he also is just a handsome guy. He's got that great orange tabby coat. He's got some little white socks on his feet. He's just very handsome, and he's hard to miss. So you want to make sure that if you're interested in a youthful cat that seems like he's probably going to have that kind of mischievous kitten behavior for his entire life, stop in and visit with Alfalfa. The adoption fee for all of our cats and kittens is $97.50. That covers all of their medical care, including neutering, giving rabies vaccines, distemper vaccines, dewormer, flea and tick preventative. We make sure all of our cats and dogs are microchipped before they leave, and we also offer a free well visit to the vet. He's also been feline leukemia and feline AIDS tested, and he tested negative for both of those illnesses. So if you're interested, please stop in and visit with Alfalfa. Well, everybody here at FCAC loves our next guest. We are eagerly awaiting the time where we can say bye to Felicia, because that means that she has been adopted. Felicia is a domestic medium hair, and she definitely has some of the softest fur that I've felt in a while. She's about 2 to 3 years old. She's a brown tabby with white, and she came to us as a stray, so we don't know very much about her. When she first came on the adoption floor, she was getting a lot of attention, but unfortunately, no one has applied for her yet. And the location of her cage is kind of difficult to see. So I think now some adopters are just missing her. She's on one of the bottom cages on the far side. So when she just likes to sleep kind of in her hammock and stuff, she's easy to go unnoticed. It looks almost like an empty cage. So we wanted to promote her a little bit to give people, just to let them know that she is here and she is available for adoption and looking for a new home. Felicia is one of the quieter cats. She's easy to pick up, she's easy to handle. She's not one that's definitely reaching out for attention all the time. She's not like Alfalfa, who was just on the show. She's a little bit more reserved. But when we were behavior assessing her, they did assess her as a green color-coded cat. So that definitely means that she has an energy level to her. So once she gets home and gets settled, it'll be interesting to see how her personality kind of becomes more full, and see how she transitions. Because right now she's a little bit calmer in her cage, but when she was out with the techs, she was a little bit more active. If you are interested in adopting any of our cats, the first step is always to come in and find a couple that you're interested in. Then you want to read their profiles. Before you do that, you need to make sure that they are not full-on applications. We only take 2 applications for all of our cats, and we then choose the best fit for the animal. Once you've read the profile and checked on their application status, then you can visit with them outside of their cage. If you're still interested after that, it is now the time that you can fill out your application. The applications take about 2 to 5 days to process. Animals that are not yet spayed or neutered, like Felicia, she's not yet spayed, we'll have to go on our surgery schedule so that we can make sure that that gets done. All of our cats and dogs and our rabbits are spayed or neutered before they leave our facility. And then we would go through the interview process, where we would talk to the potential adopter, make sure they're aware of anything that's important of note, go over basic pet care and sign the documents, and then we would send her home. Again, that takes about 2 to 5 days to get all of that done. But it's important to come in and really check out all of the animals. Sometimes people see their pictures online and they're like, that's the one I want. Just because that animal might be what you're physically looking for as far as how they look, their personality might not match up with what your lifestyle is. So it's important to visit with them, and the volunteers and the staff are always a great resource and can help guide you in the right direction of an animal that fits what you're looking for. If you are interested in making the beautiful Felicia part of your home, the first step is going to be to step in here and visit with her. If you wanted to check on her application status before you made the trip in, you can always call the shelter. Our main number here is 301-600-1546. Korg came to us as a stray, and he is kind of aptly named. Honestly, I didn't understand it because I have not seen Thor Rangar, but then once it was explained to me, I was like, yeah, that's perfect, that's Korg. So if you've seen that movie, you will definitely understand. Korg is kind of a big guy. He weighs 12 pounds, 8.5 ounces, but he's kind of just a gentle soul. He's one of our shy cats, and he has slowly started to come out of his shell a little bit. He's uncomfortable in new situations, but in his cage, where he's been for a little while now, he's definitely more eager to ask for attention. He's becoming a little bit of a talker. It might be because the guy next to him, Stark, is a talker and he's competing for attention, but he's definitely coming out a little bit more. But if you can't see him, he's generally kind of chilling out underneath his hammock. He likes to have time by himself a little bit. He's one of our cats that's going to require a little bit more patience on the part of his adopter, just to let him get more comfortable. But even just in the short time that he's been out here on our set, he's starting to look around a little bit. He's kneading on Tammy. He's Not necessarily 100% sure, but he's definitely getting a little bit more comfortable. So we have a lot of shy cats on the floor. The reasons could just be that the shelter is scary for them, or that could be their normal behavior. So when you're looking at shy cats, you want to be prepared for that that's going to be how they are for the rest of their lives. Maybe when you have guests over, they don't know that you have a cat because your cat is hidden. Or that when they get home and they settle in, their personality does like a 180 and they're much more outgoing, maybe more active than you planned for. You know, we do our best to behavior assess the animals here. We have that great color coding system, which you can find information about that on our Facebook page, and also we have posters throughout the shelter that indicate, you know, kind of what we have found about their personalities. But you have to be prepared for that to change as they become more comfortable in their surroundings. So they're just an indicator, a guideline. They're not a 100%. So the yellow, as we've mentioned, with Korg, is the shy cat. Then we have the purple cats who, and the dogs for that matter, they need a little bit more training. You have to understand that they're maybe have some things they need to work on, or you need to be willing to accept them as they are. They're typically do better in homes that have experience with that type of animal. Then the oranges are just the average. They kind of do what they want when they want to do it. Greens are high energy, go, 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 like alfalfa. And then we have the blues, like Fabian, who was on the show recently, who just kind of easygoing. They adjust well to situations. They really love attention, aren't afraid to ask for it, those types of things. So that just gives you a guideline to help. And if you're interested in Korg and seeing you know, how he develops and helping him become more confident, you can stop in and visit with him here at the shelter. Our adoption fees for our adult cats, which Korg falls into at 3 to 4 years old, is going to be $97.50. Our next cat is Pumpkin 2. We do have a lot of animals on the floor with multiple names. So in the dog portion of our show, we had Benny and then Benny 2. We have Pumpkin and then Pumpkin 2. We also have multiple daisies. We have a daisy on the dog floor, a daisy on the cat floor. Sometimes if you come up and you say, hey, I'm interested in daisy or I'm interested in pumpkin, and we ask you to clarify, that's why. Just because we want to make sure we're giving you the proper information about the proper animal. Pumpkin 2 is a beautiful black domestic long hair, and she's about 3 years old. When you're visiting with her, one of the things that you will notice is that she does have some places where we have clipped her, and she still has some mats. She came to us that way. We've done our best to clip off some of them, but she will definitely need to be further groomed. And then whoever adopts her will need to make sure that they're keeping up with that grooming. She needs to be brushed. If you can't do it, then take her to a professional groomer and get that done, because it's really uncomfortable for them. Those mats can pull on their skin and it can be painful. And it's also just unhealthy. They can't, you know, when they can't get it, it gets dirty, and we just want to make sure that she is in her tip-top shape. It is possible that we will get her a grooming appointment, and the next time you see her, she might be sporting a lion cut. We're not sure. We're still working on those things. People on our Facebook page in the past have commented about some strays that have come in clipped. You know, a lion cut for long-haired cats is a common thing, especially in the summer months when it's hot. They have a lot of fur. So if you see that, it's not someone doing something mean to the animal. They're just properly grooming them and trying to make them more comfortable when it's hot. And right now, with temps in the 90s from time to time, that would be an appropriate thing to do for your cat. One of the things we've also noticed about her is that she's a little bit overweight. So talking to your vet anytime you're adopting a cat that we've listed as overweight is going to be important, so that you can get them on a healthy diet plan. You always want to consult with your vet about any type of food that you're giving your animal and how much is necessary. But when they need to be on a little bit of a diet, you want to really make sure you're following those guidelines so that they're losing weight at a safe pace. You don't want them to be losing weight too quickly. That can be just as unhealthy as being overweight. I've noticed that she sits in the front of her cage, but she's not necessarily reaching out for everybody. She's happy to get any attention that people want to give her, and she settled right in on Tammy's lap and is quite kind of confident, looking around, indicating where she wants to be petted. So she's gonna, hopefully fit right into any family. She is color-coded orange, so that means that she's just an average cat. Again, the main thing when you're looking at Pumpkin 2 is that you can get her properly groomed and maintain that so that she feels the most comfortable. If you are interested in adopting her, you want to stop in at the shelter. The hours where the kennels are open are going to be Monday, Tuesday, and Friday from 10 to 5, on Wednesday and Thursday from 12 to 8, and on Saturdays from 10 to 4. Our last guest for you today is definitely a staff and volunteer favorite. He's a little spooked out here in this new environment, but this is Randall, and he has been with us since March, and he is definitely one of the sweetest cats that we have. He is currently one of our kitty cabana residents. He lives in the first cabana. We have 2 now, so he lives in cabana 1 along with Esme and Esmeralda, and he is the reigning boy there. And he and Esme, the older and also a black cat, seem to get along quite well. They don't necessarily cuddle, but they like to sleep near each other, and they spend the most time together. Whereas Esmeralda's a bit younger. She's still a kitten, and she's kind of maybe a little too active for the 2 of them. Randall is about 3 years old, so he has that good mix of playful, but not too playful. He's also fairly independent, so he'll, go off on his own when he wants to, but when he's feeling safe and secure and comfortable, he will let you pick him up. He will come rub up against you. He will sit on your lap. So it just is about making sure that he feels comfortable. We've color-coded him as orange, but again, initially he can be a little shy and a little scared in new environments, especially when they've been here for a long time and have been living in that one space and don't really move back and forth a lot. When you change their situation, it can be a quite upsetting for them. Again, Randall is neutered. He has already been rabies vaccinated. He's had his distemper vaccine. We've dewormed him. He even recently got another dose of flea and tick preventative. So he is ready to go to whatever forever home that we can find for him. Again, he lives in that kitty cabana, so he's used to living with other cats, so that shouldn't be an issue. He was surrendered to us, they said, because he does not like babies. So they've had him for most of his life, and they said that he recently started peeing on the baby's items. So this is not a new thing. We've had several animals on the show today that came to us specifically because they were not getting along with new babies in the house. So it's very important, just as you want to introduce new animals to each other slowly, you want to introduce your pets slowly to new babies and new children in the house. In some books specifically about dog training, there are whole chapters about how to properly introduce your dog to a baby. And that starts well before the baby even comes home, with letting them sniff the baby's items, getting them used to baby noises and smells. You can just play YouTube videos of babies crying and babies laughing so that they get used to those noises. Having places in the baby's room that they can be on without being in the crib and on the changing table and those types of things are also helpful. So there's a lot of things that go into that, and we want to make sure that we're educating the public so that they know, so that they can keep their animals in their home instead of bringing them here to us, like unfortunately has happened to Randall and Benny. So if you are interested in Randall, he has done well with the kids that come and visit him in the kitty cabana. He hasn't had any issues that we're aware of, so he's going to be a great pet. But again, he is a little nervous in new situations, so he's going to take a little bit of patience to get adjusted and acclimated. His behavior here on the show is not necessarily indicative, of how he is when he feels comfortable. So you want to stop by the kitty cabana and see him in his his natural habitat, if you will, and then see if he's going to be a good fit for you and your family. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Pet Pals. We hope that you've enjoyed meeting a few of our adoptable animals and that you'll come in and visit with them and many more that are looking for forever homes here in Frederick County.